Welcome back, welcome back. Well, earlier this week, representatives from the rival Palestinian political parties, Fatah and Hamas, were supposed to meet at reconciliation talks in Cairo. The talks collapsed at the last minute when reports emerged that Hamas would not be attending. On Thursday, Hamas said that it was ready to resume the talks if Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas frees more than 600 of its activists being held in the West Bank. Well, now, will the two parties be able to put aside their differences, or will Palestinians have to resign themselves to a divided state? I'm joined now from the West Bank by former Palestinian Minister of Finance, Dr. Omar Abdel-Razeq, to find out more from him. Doctor, why was it, because you can tell us this, because as we know you're obviously a supporter of Hamas, but why was it that Hamas decided to withdraw from these reconciliation talks?
Well, let me say that, first of all, from the very beginning, we made it clear to the Egyptians that we would like to discuss the documents before signing such documents. However, the basic reason why Hamas did not attend or decided not to go to Cairo was because of the situation in the West Bank. As you mentioned in the introduction, there are more than 600 political detainees that are supporters of Hamas or members of Hamas or those who helped during the elections in 2006. These detainees are now being even tortured and being forbidden from from family visits. We have decided we have asked the Egyptians to talk to President Mahmoud Abbas to free all political detainees. Unfortunately, they decided not to do that before the talks, before the reconciliation talks, claiming that there are no political detainees. However, all independent human rights institutions, Palestinian and international, they talk about hundreds of political detainees in the West Bank.
Right.
That was the basic reason for not going to Cairo.
I see. Well, that's very full and very clear. Now, and you used a very important word there. You say that among those 600 detainees, Hamas detainees, that there are people there who have been tortured by their fellow Palestinians, by Fatah.
Yes, you're right. And there are many accounts of that at the Palestinian Independent Human Rights Commission, and also Human Rights Watch recorded some of that. And
looking ahead, therefore, looking at how this attempt at reconciliation did not work out, do Palestinians of whichever party, whether Fatah or Hamas, do Palestinians have to come to terms with the fact that there will probably never be unity between these two parties, and that it will be much more difficult to get a three-party solution to the Middle East, but that a three-party solution is the only one that can possibly work, because Hamas and Fatah will never work together?
Let me start with the last statement. I think this is the misconception. I think we can work together. We've been able to work together at various institutions. However, third parties are the problem in this case. You know that there is an American-Israeli veto on this reconciliation. We hope that our brothers in Fatah decide to come back and prepare the environment here in the West Bank, especially to help the reconciliation talks be successful. We believe that we can talk and we can come to terms. We had done that before in Mecca. We've done that before in other places. However, now the basic issue is in the field, in the West Bank. We in the West Bank, the members of the PLC in the West Bank, talked to the government in Gaza, and they freed all political detainees there. We hope that the government in the West Bank and President Mahmoud Abbas also do the same thing and go to the dialogue and the reconciliation talks with that good intention ahead of us.
And in conclusion, Doctor, would you say that you will see a Palestinian state in your lifetime, do you think?
Oh yes, for sure. We will see it sooner than everybody expects. I mean, we know that the conditions in the world are changing. The conditions on the ground are changing. Israel will not stay stronger or the strongest in the region forever. We know that wars do not solve conflicts, and the last decade, the events of the last decade have proven that. The mighty power of the United States have not been able to settle things in Afghanistan or in Iraq, or in any place where they are fighting wars. We believe that Israel has to come to terms because it's in their interest to make peace with the Palestinians, but it's the true peace that we are looking for. We are looking for the independent Palestinian state on all 1967 territory, the occupied territories, including East Jerusalem, including the borders, control of the borders, including the control of our natural resources and water resources, including the getting rid of all settlements and all the side effects of the occupation over the last 40 years, and including the right of return to the Palestinian refugees all over the world.
That's quite a list. Well, I'm sure that they'll be studying that in Jerusalem even as we speak. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We really appreciate it, Doctor. Thank you very much, and we hope to have you with us again soon.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. Anytime, anytime. Thank you.
The G20, the group of 20 leading economies, are on their way to Washington to try and find a solution to get the world out of recession or not into recession, depending on which country you're talking about. But a key player, of course, will not be there. President-elect Barack Obama will not be there. That's convention, and you can't really have two US presidents at one world conference. The global economy is entering a major downturn at the moment. Something needs to be done. But what can we expect from this particular Washington summit? Joining me now is the global economist from Oxford University. Welcome back to Linda Yueh. Linda, welcome. What do you expect us, the world, constructively to get out of this conference? Or do you not expect anything from it at all?
I think that expectations are being played down as to what they can achieve, but I think they can still achieve quite a few things. Even though the summit is being very ambitiously titled Bretton Woods 2, I don't think they're going to come out with a new international economic system. What's more likely is that they will get agreement on some coordination of economic policies to try to revitalize economies and prevent the world from falling into recession. But that would be a very good step forward.
That would be, how would they manage that? That would be a big step forward.
Massive step forward. I think, unfortunately, there are different ideas from different countries on this, which is not surprising. The UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown is very keen on a coordinated economic stimulus package across different countries. The reason why this is important is that if the UK, for instance, cuts taxes and stimulates its economy, part of that goes to pay for imports, which is actually benefiting other countries. If all countries were to do this, then you can have a coordinated stimulative effect, which would be more helpful. But of course, that's his view. There's also the view from Nicolas Sarkozy, the view from President George Bush, and these are views which are more geared at how do you regulate financial markets to address the crisis. And of course, on the other side, there's emerging economies like China, like the Middle East, and they're going to have different views again on what they hope to see from this. And of course, when you look at developing countries like China, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, they're going to be more interested in reforming the international system. For instance, giving them a bigger voice on organizations like the IMF, like the World Bank. Whereas the American President, George Bush, has just said yesterday that he's afraid of too much regulation and he doesn't want to see that stifling financial markets. So lots of different opinions, which is also why it's good that they're all together, because they need to, in the world's major economies, sit down, talk through their differences, and hopefully come out with some measures which will stabilize what is really a worsening crisis in the world economy.
A worsening crisis at the moment, do you think?
I think so. The latest figures out for Germany look very dismal. Germany's economic growth slowed more than expected. So the economy, the largest economy in Europe, is now definitely in recession. And of course, bad news out of the US in terms of unemployment, major stimulus packages in China. These are all different indicators that the world economy is worsening. And in many ways, this is not unexpected given the scale of the financial crisis, because the real economy effects always come after the financial crisis has played out somewhat. So that I'm afraid isn't looking good for the rest of this year.
Yeah. And President Barack Obama, when he actually takes the reins in late January, he is going to look for a protectionist solution, everybody predicts.
He was quite protectionist at some moments during the campaign. I think if we looked at his economic advisors, I'm not so sure that he will be as protectionist as he appeared in the campaign, because I think one of his economic advisors controversially told the Canadians, or didn't tell the Canadians, that he was doing this for political reasons. But aside from that, his main economic advisors are the former Treasury Secretary, Larry Summers, Paul Volcker, the former Chairman of the Federal Reserve, really people who are non-ideological and fairly pragmatic. And so given their global outlook, I think they're well aware of the fact that the Great Depression took place partly because the United States was very protectionist. You've turned off the one area of economic growth, exports, which can help pump up your economy while domestic consumption falls. And that's actually what's been going on in the U.S. Exports are up 20% while consumption is down.
Thank you very much indeed. And and with all of these gloomy signs, you used the word hopeful in the last sentence, and so we will cling on to the word hopeful. Thank you very much indeed, Linda. Linda Yueh, that's it for this week. Join us again in 7 days' time for another edition of Frost Over the World.